Hi, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I recently had the pleasure of being on my friend Dr. Tony Hampton's podcast. We spoke about all kinds of things, including my Hashimoto's, how I got into remission using a carnivore, ketovore diet. Dr. Hampton also utilizes this way of eating, and in the clip I'm about to share with you guys, he explains why he eats that way. I hope you enjoy this little clip. I will put the full podcast in the description below. Make sure you head over to Dr. Tony Hampton's channel, hit that subscribe button for more awesome information about ketovore and health. Most of you guys know that I eat a ketovore way of eating, which is kind of a mix between carnivore and keto. And you know why I do it, but I thought we'd get a perspective from one of my friends, Dr. Hampton, who is also ketovore. So, Dr. Hampton, tell us why you chose ketovore as your proper human diet.
Thanks, Nisha, and thank you also for being on my Protecting Your Nest podcast. I really appreciate that. And who knew that a guy who was a vegetarian for 8 years would then become a carnivore? It's like a 360. But there's so many reasons why I love carnivore. One is that, I don't have to worry about those anti-nutrients that you find in plants. And I know the plants are kind of fighting me a little bit, and I would be okay with that, but I do need my iron and my other nutrients. So I don't have to worry about that with carnivore, number one. And I definitely want to absorb those nutrients that I think I'm going to get from that spinach. The other thing is that I like carnivore because I had an issue with irritable bowel. And whenever I eat animals, I just don't have any symptoms whatsoever. So I knew that that was probably a better diet for me, which is another reason why I love carnivore. The other reason, believe it or not, my hands, I used to get a lot of irritation in my hands. It felt like I was developing arthritis. And all of a sudden, when I started eating animal-based, all of that went away. Mental clarity, everybody wants their clinician to be mentally clear. And when I eat animal-based, I don't get tired. I literally just had a patient yesterday who was so, fogged out with her brain. And then I asked her what she ate. And of course, it was rice and all this other starchy stuff. I never feel that way when I eat carnivore. And yes, at the age of 54, I'm very concerned about libido and my testosterone level. And yes, with the carnivore diet, I do really well. But there's a big but, guys. And the but is, well, what about ketovore? And one of the reasons why I tend to be carnivore most of the time, but I'm ketovore as well because I like some flexibility. So I think having the opportunity to be in a social setting where you may want to try a vegetable, the ones that don't bother you, particularly over the holidays, that's why I think ketovore is great. Periodically, I like my meat to taste different than how it tastes with just salt, for example, right? So seasoning, there's some. I mean, I know that's made with herbs and things like that, but I do like seasoning sometimes, particularly based on our palates get used to how we grew up. And I'm gonna tell you something. I just want to have those seasonings that I grew up with sometimes. And variety. I've introduced my wife. I'm actually making a brief video about the chaffles, for example, right? So I like variety. And if I want to make my chaffles with something beyond the egg and the cheese, and I want to do some almond or coconut flour, I want to have the flexibility of doing that as well. And at the end of the day, I really do like vegetables sometimes. Again, it's about what we grew up with. And sometimes my mom has a very long face and she's looking at me like, "You're not going to eat none of these string beans." So I'm like, "Yes, mommy, I will eat my string beans because you made it." And that's because string beans don't bother me. Now, I won't eat my mom's dressing because my stomach just can't deal with that delicious dressing that she makes. And finally, I think what I like about ketovore is that it's about bio individuality. I think we all should be able to look at what's in front of us, test it on ourselves, and if we tolerate it, we should be able to eat those things. I shouldn't be, indoctrinated into like the carnivore, community and have to eat a certain way. I think each person should make their own decision about what works for them. And then you choose the things that work for you. So that's kind of my angle on it, Nisha. I really appreciate you letting me, give my perspective on this topic.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And I agree with pretty much everything you just said. So thank you so much for that. And you guys can check out the podcast I did with Dr. Hampton. Can you tell us exactly where to find it?
It's called Protecting Your Nest. And so if you go to the podcast app, I do have a YouTube channel. Maybe we'll have a link to the link tree and we'll link them to the YouTube because we want them to see your beautiful smile when they enjoy the podcast as well. So thank you again, Nisha.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Hampton.
All right. Take care.
Hope you enjoyed that little clip. Like I said, I'll put the full podcast linked below in the description along with Dr. Tony Hampton's channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you, mean it. Bye.